You know when, say, your truck breaks down or you're having problems with some machinery, combine, whatever it is, and you think to yourself, fuck, I wonder what my bartender has to think about this. Help me figure this out. Or say you're doing your farm program for the year, figuring everything out, and you go, man, I would sure like to know what a high school kid would think about this. It's nonsense, right? So why would anybody listen to people like AOC or Greta Thunberg when it's actually been shown that someone else is tweeting for Greta? So, but yet this world is wacky, and here we are trusting experts that have surrendered all credibility. That's the world we live in. What is this whole thing with CO2? Why is CO2 considered to be this terrible gas? Even if you look at methane, which is apparently 23 times worse for global warming, which is a complete farce. But you know, it's easy to pick something that everybody knows about. Everybody can relate to CO2 because it's in your photosynthesis. Everybody learned about that in probably grade 6 or 5 or 7. And maybe some people have never learned about it before. So it basically takes CO2, the terrible, deadly chemical, inert gas, and water, give some sunlight to that sucker in a plant, and you come out with sugar and oxygen. So it's plant food. But instead, they've made this harmless and, you know, essential gas the enemy. But here we are. You know, so carbon dioxide constitutes about 0.038% of all the gas on Earth. It's nothing. It's like if you took the entire land area of the United States, including Alaska, it's roughly the size of Rhode Island. But they've somehow managed to turn this into fear porn. Say you've worked a long day and you're like, well, I need some nourishment of some kind, or, you know, I'm getting pretty hungry. So you go to your fridge, and inside of your fridge you see, you know, chicken and rice, or you see, you know, this decadent chocolate cake, probably McCain's because it's awesome. And, you know, it's relatively cheap, and like that should be some kind of national monument. Like that is the best cake. It is so good. And if you kind of just, like, there's too much base, so if you kind of just leave a little bit at the bottom, like, the ratio is way better. Anyway, so you're going and you're eating, and you go to the fridge and you go, well, I'm gonna have some cake. Now that's not in your best interest, but still you go and eat the cake. If somebody else goes, hey man, what should I eat? I worked all day, I need some nourishment. What should I eat? Have chicken and rice or chocolate cake? If I told you that there is poison in the chocolate cake, there's a great chance you're gonna eat the chicken and rice no matter what. Even if I didn't put in any poison at all. You wouldn't ask any questions like, why'd you put poison in the cake? How much? What kind? Blah, blah, blah. You'll just eat it because you know the chocolate cake is poison. So I've used, you know, fear to help persuade somebody a decision because I want to eat the chocolate cake. Clearly, if you get people thinking that they will die and it's their best interest to live, all you have to do is make up, you know, some lie of some kind. That's essentially what's been happening. Smoking at one point was actually prescribed to people. So yeah, but let's see. This has happened forever. You know, fear is used as a means of control. We all know that. So here's what we'll do. I'll provide some headlines. You pick out the ones that never happened. All right, here we go. So we'll start here. A dire famine forecast by 1975. It's already too late for the world. They say it'll be the most disastrous famine ever. People predicting, you know, what's going to happen. The population of the United States is way too big and they need to control the population. They said putting sterilization agents into staple foods and drinking water. And the Roman Catholic Church should pressure people into going along with routine measures of population control. Okay, there's one article there talking about how a famine is going to ruin the world. Second one. 1969, full of pollution. Sees lack of time. The trouble with almost all environmental problems, says Paul Ehrlich, the population biologist, is that by the time we have enough evidence to convince people, you're dead. So, another fear porn. We must realize that unless we are extremely lucky, everyone will disappear in a cloud of blue steam in 20 years. So, okay, there's the second one. And the third article is CIA has a gun that can give you heart attacks. Can shoot you. Don't even know. Feels like a mosquito bite. Might feel like nothing at all. But goes to your heart, heart attack. And even more scary is that it cannot be found in an autopsy. It actually disintegrates. They can't find any traces of this. So for one, was there a famine in 75? Did overpopulation happen after 1969 where everybody went up into blue steam? Or did the CIA create a heart attack gun? One of these is actually real. Alright, moving on. Here you go. Boston Globe. Scientists predict new ice age by the 21st century. Air pollution may obliterate the sun and cause a new ice age the first third of the century. So we're getting close to the first third of the century, and it's pretty clear outside. So, okay, that's one. That same Dr. Ehrlich is back. This is 1970. He says, the oceans will be as dead as Lake Erie in less than a decade. That was 1970, so... Or in World War II, Japan released 6,000 to 7,000 air balloons with fire bombs on them, hoping to start the entire United States on fire. About 1,000 reached their target. Now, out of these three headlines, only one of them actually happened. So, there's another one. Guess which one? Okay, next three. U.S. scientists see new ice age coming. This is 1971. Looks like Dr. Raspel of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, Columbia University, says, in the next 50 years, the fine dust may constantly put into the atmosphere by fossil burning fuels can screen out so much sunlight that the average temperature could drop by 6 degrees. And he said that that could possibly trigger an ice age. So there's Article 1. A guy from Brown University wrote the president a letter saying that the world is going to end right away due to climate change. 1972, that one's dated. And a third article talks about the Voice of God device that the US military has that allows them to actually implant a real voice in someone's head, instructing them to do something where they will think it is the voice of God. Now, this has been used for quite a long time, and they've used it in warfare, and they've talked about using it in riot control in the US. Now, one of those three things happened. 1974, space satellite said that the end of the world is coming, an ice age is coming soon. Time magazine, 1974, also said an ice age is inevitable soon, saying that the signs are everywhere. It's going to happen. Or, vanilla flavoring comes from the anal glands of beavers. Now, one of these articles is actually real. Again. Alright, so let's go. 1976, the cooling of the Earth. Apparently an ice age was supposed to kill everybody. Atmospheric research in Boulder, Colorado, reflecting the consensus of climatology community. Everyone was agreeing at the time that the world is going to freeze and everyone's going to die. So, and then we have, as well, a great peril to life. Gas taking away the ozone layer. Also 74. Or Bayer selling HIV-infected vaccines to Asia. Now, one of these things actually happened. What a tragedy. It is! I'm laughing because it's fucked up. Let's keep going. A couple more. Prepare for long, hot summers. Apparently there was droughts all throughout the 80s. NASA scientists saying that there's record temperatures all summer, droughts everywhere. 1988, they're talking about sea level rising. They're going the complete opposite way because it seemed like nobody was biting on the other stuff. So within the next 30 years, everything's going to be flooded. That was 1988. Here we are. Or did 3 of the richest men in America who opposed the Federal Reserve die on board the Titanic? One of the owners of Macy's, actually. Now, one of these things actually happened. Now we can go on more about Al Gore getting it wrong, Prince Charles saying that the world's going to end if we don't. They shifted from global cooling to global warming. They just actually had to wait long enough for the generation of complete morons to be indoctrinated to buy into this bullshit. And that's essentially what they've done. So it's fair to say that the propaganda, the misinformation's never stopped. Not for over 100 years. They've been pushing complete end of the world stuff. Why? Because fear clearly works. And the best way to get government to basically, be allowed to do whatever they want is to have people actually buy into it. And that's essentially what seems to be happening here. But, from just this alone, this brief video, you can see that they've done it and lied and failed. So why are people believing them now? Why would you believe them now? You don't believe them now. Don't believe them now. It's another complete lie. Don't even give into the garbage. As soon as you start feeding into it, you add to it. Just full on reject it. All I'm doing is showing that they've been putting out lies and using fear as the basis of all of this global warming stuff that makes no sense at all. The problem is the farming community and industry is gonna pay the most for this. The farmer, the most by far.